Okay, stand by the drive.
Thank you for your support today, and the support out there was pretty amazing. The spectator boats and the huge crowds on the shoreline. Could you hear the crowds at all?
We were struggling to hear ourselves on board, actually, so we struggled to hear the crowd a little bit.
Can't hear a thing.
But you know, we could obviously see the crowd, and I think it was, you know, it's epic for us to be able to go sailing and have a great day like that on the water in front of such a big crowd.
We're gonna go through a few clips, starting with, surprisingly enough, race 1. And let's just have a look at the start, boys. Do you want to have a look? Because this is probably the first time you've seen it. Tell us, you're in a good position there.
Yeah, we were in a good position. We were really early on our setup. Yeah, so we're here, and we were the first into our final approach, which puts us a little bit at risk, but Ben did a really great job of defending this windward end. And you can see we're maybe a little bit down speed, which is why Oracle come through us here. But we got a really good acceleration and got to the Mark 1 in good contention with the lead.
So at this point, stop it there, guys. At this point, you're quite pleased.
Yeah, obviously we'd rather be out here where Oracle are. But it's considering how close we were to the line, we were content with being second to Mark 1 for sure.
Okay. Okay, spool on, guys. There we go. Now here we are. Oh, you're right at the boundary here. What's happening here? You know, stop. You know you're at the boundary because there are lights, or warning lights, or something happens on the boat that tells you you're on the boundary of the course. You can't go over that line.
No, we can't go over the line. And when we're approaching the boundary, when we're within 4 lengths, we get a green flashing light. And that basically tells us that the boundary's coming up. And as well as that, Ben has a readout by his helming position, and he'll be giving us a countdown. So he'll count down from, say, 100 meters. And then Freddie, our guy that runs to leeward, he runs to leeward and sets the boards up, and we're ready to tack on the boundary.
And were you hugging the boundary on purpose, or were you pushed out there?
Yeah, it very much depends on what's happening further up the course.
Can you go back, guys? Sorry. Just go back to the boundary. That's it.
So we kind of get a little bit dictated to where we...
This is Japan, isn't it? Is this Japan?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So it very much depends. We don't always bounce off boundaries. It depends on what we see further up the course. If we see good wind out to the right and we're heading left, we'll tack early and head out that way.
Right.
And obviously it gets a little bit difficult when you see pressure left and you'd like to go further into it, but you can't because you have to bounce the boundary. So there's a lot of management there.
At this point, where are you in the race, do you think, at this point?
I think this is our first beat.
Okay, spool on, guys. In the days when we had spools, it's all digital now. Showing my age. There we go. Right, here we are. Do you know where this is? Gate 3.
Yes, so we were coming down here, and we, just before the jibe, we made the call that we were going to jibe and then deploy after the jibe. So we hoisted the spinnaker going downwind, where the New Zealanders had hoisted the spinnaker going upwind, and they deployed immediately out of the mark, and we deployed after the jibe. So.
And what did that do for you?
Well, the advantage of the spinnaker is you get a huge gain in the jibes. You don't get such a gain in the straight lines, especially when it's above 12 knots. So we were kind of gaining on them, and then we had a good gain in the jibes. So we were really happy with that maneuver. But the big difference was that we hoisted it after the mark, where they hoisted it before.
Right.
So we took a good gain there.
You look to be foiling pretty well.
Yeah,
pretty
so
well there.
After the jibe.
That was very much the story of the day, wasn't it? The foiling.
Exactly. After the jibe, we got a good puff and managed to just foil over the top of the Kiwis here.
Keep going, guys. Right. Goodness knows what's that. That looks like carnage. Oracle and... Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't see a lot of this going on, but obviously it was, we heard about it afterwards that there was a pretty near collision on TV, but as you can see, we've just rounded the mark and we're just concerned with...
Who's got rights there?
I'd have to have a look at it from a bit further out.
See you in the jury room.
Yeah. But the difference on this mark compared to all the other ones is, although the inside boat is on starboard, he has to jibe at that mark. So it's a little bit different to the kind of conventional sailing where
So here's the
it's
finish.
just a port starboard.
Lovely finish. Yeah. Anything you might have done different in that race, do you think?
Charles, this is you, mate.
Yeah, with the power of hindsight, there's always something different you do. I think we got a little bit caught out on Mark 1. We decided to do what we call a straight set, and a lot of the guys behind us did a jibe set, which enabled them to...
What's the difference? So there's a lot of people, some people here who don't sail.
The first mark, we continued, we just did a simple maneuver, we bore away onto the downwind angle and continued. The guys behind us, they did a sharper turn, and they favoured further out to sea, basically. And they headed into more wind and got a good gain on us. But the one thing that we did do really well was our decision to get our third sail in the air. So by the bottom, we were back into second. So we very quickly got back into it, which is great.
And the conditions out there were they weren't fluky because the wind was pretty much steady, but in terms of direction, but not in terms of pressure, was it?
Yeah, no, it's really difficult in these boats when you're racing in around 10 knots because there's a lot of crossovers between whether or not we use the third sail, whether we hoist it, whether we leave it down, and whether we're foiling or not foiling. There's just absolutely huge angle changes. So yeah, being able to stay on top of that is kind of key to getting a good result. And I think
you made a lot of good calls in that first race, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think as a group we managed to do that pretty well.
And can you see the pressure, and have you got time to adjust, or because things are happening so fast?
Yeah, things do happen very quickly. My role on board is to try and stay on top of that. So as soon as I can see something coming, I need to feed that back to the other guys, and then we'll make a call on whether or not we've got enough time to hoist our third sail, pull it down, foil, not foil.
Okay, so there's a very short rest between the first and second race. I think it was about 20 minutes, something like that. You regroup, you've got to forget that race is gone, start thinking again. The wind in the second race, much the same as the first race?
Yeah, it was actually quite light between the races, and we did have a conversation whether to swap to the bigger jib. And this is kind of Nick's call as the trimmer, with a little bit of help from
And what did he
himself, the wing
call?
trimmer. Well, we called to keep it, which in hindsight was the right decision. But yeah, that was one of the big discussions between the races. And then Rob, our coach, comes on. They have a debrief with Giles and Ben about the tactical situations. Nick, Dave, and myself would have a conversation about the boat handling and if there was anything we could do better. So things like that. But generally, it's get some food on board, get some water on board, and get a breather before the next one starts again.
Absolutely. Okay, so terrific start, the second race. Were you pleased with the start?
Yeah. Again, we set up very close to the line. This time we actually, with about 45 seconds to go, we went away from the line again and reset up, which we probably should have done in the first race, but we did that very well in the second one, which just gave us a little bit more space to accelerate at the line and start with speed. And as you can see, we started with a bit more speed in a real sweet spot on the line. And
However,
Ben hit the line.
However,
our tactician will explain the rest.
Yeah, we kind of had one here actually. We basically decided to do the opposite thing to what we did in the first, which was to jibe set, which paid in the first race, and in the second race it didn't pay. So we got it all wrong, unfortunately.
When you say you got it all wrong, you called the wind wrong?
Well, what happened was we had Ben and myself had a discussion down the first reach about what we wanted to do at the first turning mark, whether to come over this way or extend down into the shore.
And in the first race, there was more wind which side?
In the first race, there was more wind off here.
Yeah.
And in the second race, there was more wind down the shore, and we went offshore. So it was the wrong decision to make. But we managed to kind of move on pretty quickly from it, thankfully. And we were certainly back into the race by the bottom.
So at one point you were quite a way behind, weren't you? I think it was 140 meters between you and the leader on the telemetrics.
Yeah, and as I was saying before,
are you aware of that? I mean,
yeah, we're very much aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, we really did have it was a big loss, but that is what what happens in this kind of racing, with the speed differences of 10 knots, angle differences of 30-40 degrees.
So what turned the race round for you? I mean, it's more than luck, isn't it?
No, it's definitely not luck.
It's not luck.
That's not luck. No, what we did is we managed to reset ourselves. We got over our loss, and we just kind of pulled ourselves together and managed to get back into phase. And I think from the top of this next leg, so we had a bit of a difficult first beat, and then a really good second downwind.
Difficult the first beat because the wind was. You had less pressure than.
When you're behind, you effectively get dictated to by the guys in front of you, and you end up with less options. So the guys in front, it's easier for them to make the right call, and then when you're behind, you end up taking a little bit more risk. So being able to take the correct amount of risk is kind of tricky. Yeah. And we managed to clear ourselves nicely, and for the second upwind, we were kind of
interested
well away.
to know the decision which side of the fort, whether to leave the fort to starboard or port, is really interesting, because you think there's going to be, in a slow boat like mine, you think there's going to be a huge wind shadow.
Yeah, no, there is quite a big wind shadow, and it is a big obstacle for us racing. And one of the problems with the leg that we were just going on to there was that we got to a point where we would have liked to have tacked and gone underneath the fort, but we just couldn't because we would have gone through a lot less wind.
Okay. And the forecast for tomorrow, have you had the forecast for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think tomorrow is driving rain and 25 knots.
Welcome to the Solent.
Yeah.
And how's the rest of the team? And how's Ben and the rest of the team? Are they happy at the end of the first day?
Yeah, I think we're pretty happy. I think we would have been happy with that when we left this morning. Obviously did a good job to save a couple of races, but the good thing for us today is we dug ourselves out of some pretty awkward situations and proved that we can sail through the fleet. So that gives us a lot of confidence going into tomorrow. So hopefully we'll make it a bit easier for ourselves tomorrow and sort it out.
What did you learn about the opposition today?
I mean, we thought that we sailed pretty scrappy on board, and we haven't had a chance to do our debrief yet, but I guess our scrappiness was a little bit less scrappy than everyone else. So hopefully that's a good sign, but we'll see how we go. I mean, we always think our boat handling is very good, but today we felt like we could have done a bit better. So.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Are you pleased?
Yeah, moderately pleased. Yeah. No, it was a great day. I'm sure the guys have said for us it was really hard for the team because the conditions were so up and down. There's always a teamwork day, but in particular with that Code Zero sail, it makes it really hard work. But we were just blown away by how many people were out there. As we came out of the harbour entrance to see so many boats and so many spectators, it was very, very special.
Yeah. Ben, could you explain the point system tomorrow? It's a different point system, isn't it?
Yeah, the points count for double tomorrow, so it's that much more important to get the results. It's the way the America's Cup event organising authority wanted to run it. They wanted a bit more to lay on the final day, the Sunday. Probably as competitors, we were prefer it not to be. We probably just want more racing and more even racing, but that's the way it is. So we've got to go out. We're going to have different conditions tomorrow, probably more wind, different challenge for us all, and we've got to keep the hammer down and try and get 2 more good races.
Terrific. Well, we wish you all the very best of luck, and thank you for coming up and sharing your thoughts with us in this brief debrief. Thank you, guys, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.